The Liverpool Public Library presents Passwords and Access Codes 101. How secure is my password? Passwords. They're an unfortunate fact of life. We don't just have them for preventing people from accidentally getting into our computers and messing them up. Do you have kids? But also to prevent people from intentionally getting onto our computers and messing them up. Do you have teenagers? We have passwords to protect our email from prying eyes and our bank accounts from those who would use sophisticated methods to clean us out electronically. And as issues such as identity theft become more and more widespread, it also becomes more and more important to follow good password practices. And thanks to a website called How Secure is My Password, we can make sure that our passwords are really secure. But secure doesn't have to mean confusing. That's right. These days, you're being told that an 8-character password isn't long enough, and that you need to consider passwords of 14 or even 26 characters, and with numbers and special characters in them. How on earth does anyone expect you to remember something like that? Well, here's the little trick. This password is just as long as this one, but one is easier to remember. The first is a totally random collection of letters and digits that you'd eventually end up writing down on a Post-it note to lose or for someone else to find. The second is something that actually means something. It tells me that Channel 7 is WABC in New York. It's long, but it's memorable. And even better, it's one that's not easily broken. How do I know that? Because How Secure is My Password told me it would take 9 million years to crack. As you type your potential password into the box, it shows you how long it would take for a regular desktop computer to eventually figure out your password using a brute force rate of over 4 billion tries per second. So, how do you choose a good but memorable password? Well, first of all, you should know that password is one of the worst possible passwords you can use. And yet, many people are lazy enough, even now, that that's exactly what they use. Other commonly used passwords that are really horrible choices are QWERTY and 1234567 How bad are these choices? So bad that when you enter them, How Secure is My Password doesn't just tell you how many fractions of a second it would take to crack them, it says instantly. That's because there's some of the passwords that the cracker will try first. Other bad choices are your dog's name, your license plate number, and anything else that's easily attached to you. Remember, your 287 BFFs on Facebook know everything about you or could find it out. And if you're like the average Facebook user, your privacy settings aren't too strong anyway. So, how do you make a good password that's memorable? The key is to have a key. And then step back a bit. I have a friend who uses the names of all the train stops she passed through when she lived in Japan. That's not something the average person is going to try to guess. And it's definitely going to take a password cracking program a long time to figure that out. Now, I've never been to Japan, but I practically grew up in the malls of North Jersey, and that could be my system. The malls I spent the most time in were Willowbrook, Livingston, and Menlo Park. What can I do with them? Well, I know that Willowbrook is in Wayne, at the intersections of routes 23 and 46. If I type Willowbrook 23 and 46 into How Secure is My Password, it says it would take 100 trillion years to crack it. That's a long time. What about Livingston? Well, that's at the intersection of Eisenhower Parkway and South Orange Avenue. Testing out Livingston Ike SO gives me a mere 43 million years. And Menlo Park is on Parsonage Road between routes 1 and 27. Menlo Park 1 and 27 would take 600 million years to crack. Maybe you're not a big mall rat, but you travel a bit. When we're heading south, Front Street in Chenango Bridge is almost always our first pit stop. Exit 6 Front Street only takes 2,000 years to crack. But Exit 6 Chenango Bridge takes 9 quadrillion years, which is a little better. And I said that using a license plate number was a bad idea. Actually, your license plate number is a bad idea for a number of reasons. First of all, it's too short, and it's too easily attached to you. But what about the plates on your old car or a friend's car combined with the model? Let's say your friend Lisa had an old Zalero. I know, they don't make them anymore. With a license number of BSE 685. Well, BSE 685 might be too short on its own, but Lisa's Alero BSE 685 would take 2 trillion years. Maybe you can create a connection between the website and your password that's easy to remember. For example, for Cafe Press, maybe you want to use a coffee-related password. I happen to remember Savarin, a long-defunct brand of coffee, and they had a building on Route 46 in Ridgefield Park on the way to the George Washington Bridge. Savarin Route 46 would take 9 million years to crack. Or suppose you use Walgreens for printing and sharing photos. Did you take a photography class from Miss Norton in high school? Did you get a photography badge when you were a Boy Scout or Girl Scout? Then you might want to try Miss Norton at Corcoran or Troop 360 photo badge. Or how about a place like Target? My friend Christy used to work there, and Christy worked at Target would take 17 octillion years. And L.O. Bean, it's based in Freeport, Maine. Doesn't your friend Sam live in Maine? Then how about Sam Watson 04364? That's his main zip code. A few last thoughts. I've shown you a few different ways to create memorable and secure passwords, but don't just limit yourself to what you've seen here. Use your imagination and How Secure Is My Password to come up with your own system for creating passwords. After all, the last thing I want is for you all to be using the same system. And with that in mind, you can be absolutely certain that I haven't given you all the secrets, and especially not how I do my passwords. Now about the dog. I said earlier that using your dog's name was just about the worst thing you could do because it'll be one of the first things someone guesses. But if you really want to keep your dog involved, there are ways to do it without being obvious. Where does your dog stay when you go away? Do you have a friend who comes over and watches the dog while you're on vacation? Or do you board spot at some local kennel? When I was a kid, we sent our dog to the kennel when we were out of town for a few days. So if your dog is a regular guest at Bark Avenue, you could create a password of spot at Bark Ave. That would get you a good 16,000 years. And in dog years, that's a long time.